with the deciding vote. MJ, who do you think is a traitor and why?
Hey guys, welcome back for another recap of the Traitors Season 2. I'm Stephanie, I'm joined here by Emily, my coworker, as Lauren is out this week. And I'm so excited to talk to you about this show. How have you been feeling about the season so far?
It's been such a good season. I've been watching every episode at the edge of my seat, and last week really just that cliffhanger, I was like, really? This is how you're gonna end this episode? Okay, so yeah, very excited to be here and talk about this with you.
Well, let's get into it. As we know, it was all down to MJ, and she has this big choice.
Peter.
Oh boy.
It sucks. I really don't like this part of the game, but I felt like there was way more evidence going in your direction than any other direction.
You gotta think about the long term, and I think Peter maybe was just thinking I just wanna get the traitors out, that he wasn't thinking when your pals and your Peter pals kind of disappear, because that's what happens, who's gonna be left? You're gonna have to be begging these people to believe you, but you don't have a relationship with them, and I think that was totally his downfall. And even though he left a huge impact, and what he did really did help the faithfuls in the end, I think he was just being too cliquey.
He made some, questionable decisions, but you can tell that he really wanted to find the traitors. And I think that some of the arguments that he said in his final roundtable, even though they weren't received at that time, people are still thinking about them.
It's frustrating to me because if you don't defend yourself, they say, oh, she didn't defend herself. When you do defend yourself, they say, oh, you're getting too personal.
Even though Peter is gone, Phaedra still has a target on her back. The heat is not off. People are still looking at her. And I think that this is possibly insurmountable. She has had to fight for so long, and this target is just not coming off. It's been cemented there ever since Dan left the game.
She's really in a tough situation too, because her whole game, right, was kind of playing in the shadows and being everyone's friend and building such a good relationship, where obviously Dan and Parvati didn't do that. Peter didn't do that as well. And so she's in a really tough spot. I think for people to get off her back, I think she really needs to throw a curveball, because everyone's been saying the Bravo girls, the Bravo clique, but I think she needs to do something drastic that's really gonna throw people off and be like, whoa, maybe Peter was wrong.
So tomorrow they've got Trishelle and John.
And CT.
They chose a numbers game. You wanna play a numbers game? Let's play a numbers game.
This is gonna be a crucial murder. And they narrow it down between John and Trishelle. So they're still taking aim at Peter's allies.
Yeah.
Which helps them with the numbers, but doesn't necessarily throw anyone off the scent.
I think they would be going for CT2 if it wasn't for the shield, obviously. But yeah, I mean, if I were in their position, if I were in their shoes, I would look at my closest circle, because obviously Trishelle and John are going to keep coming at Phaedra, but they don't have the numbers. Mm-hmm. And so at least if you go for someone in your group, that will continue to tell people no, I'm not a traitor. You can trust me, even though they can't.
To me, she's just suspicious. And I even try to ask her, well, what are you thinking about? Who do you suspect? Nothing. And I mean, that's a big red flag for me.
CT and Phaedra are kind of at odds now, because CT is firmly against Phaedra. It's the end of our little showman. So
and I love their little showman. It makes me sad. I'm also I watched The Challenge growing up and even into adulthood, I guess. And I love CT, so I'm very happy that he made it this far. The only guy left. We love our CT. But it was just so who would you pick? Who do you think it is? And she, honestly, she could have, I think, handled it a little bit better. I think she was just thrown really off.
This would be a good opportunity for her to throw out somebody else's name, but there's not really many people left that are viable prospects to throw under the bus. And I think that Phaedra knows that and is kind of just trying to keep cool, lay low, and it's hard to say if that's going to work at this point.
We're missing John.
No!
I don't think he's coming.
Now he's gone. He's gone.
Oh, God. That's gotta be Phaedra.
For MJ, she's connecting the dots and saying, Peter, I remember Peter said at the roundtable, why would I eliminate my allies? Maybe it is Phaedra. So that's coming back. And really she feels empowered at this point to start talking to the girls and saying, maybe this is time for us to take out Phaedra.
I know Phaedra. She has a gift of maintaining her cool in very high stress situations. So that draws the obvious conclusion that she has got to go.
I was kind of thinking Sandra.
Oh my God. Am I missing something?
I understand why she's throwing Sandra's name out. I don't think she has that much proof, though, or evidence to get really people behind her.
If Kate plants the seeds, maybe it could build to fruition. But I wish that she and Phaedra communicated more about that. It doesn't seem like Phaedra is doing anything about pushing Sandra's name.
Yeah, because that would have really helped Phaedra if they were like, okay, we're going for this person now so we can make it to the end and get the money. But that's not how the cards fell.
Hey, can I join the exclusive group?
What? Yeah, of course.
Are you guys ready to talk logic and reason, or?
Trishelle comes in and is like, guys, are you ready to talk logic? Which I thought was coming in hot. As viewers, we know that Trishelle is right about Phaedra being a traitor, but the way that she's arguing this isn't being heard. It's a hard task to convince people to turn on their friend. She makes it seem like they're not logical, and I don't feel like that's a winning strategy. I think you catch more flies with honey.
Great thing.
And I really liked how MJ was like, there aren't any divisions here. The Faithfuls are going to have to work together if they want to catch the traitors.
Yeah.
7, 6, 5.
So after all this, we get into the mission, which I thought was a fun watch.
Compared to last week's mission, yeah, this one was better.
People were falling and flopping into the water all over the place.
It was so sad.
But Trishelle and CT did a half-decent job.
I mean, I'm not surprised. If you've watched the challenge, you know that they can really do a great job. But it was still really nice to see, like, this was MJ's episode.
She is the MVP, her hero moment. Strategy-wise and in terms of the competition.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to see her get that shield and put it in.
Yes, 100%.
She's doing a lot of talking out there. Look at that.
Yep.
You know Kate is pitching someone with like her full heart. And Sandra's like, I wonder if she's talking about me. Like, now everybody look while I go in and see if they stop talking. And they
You gotta give it to Sandra. She has like that took a lot.
I like that she told everyone exactly what she was going to do, so people were in on it and felt like they were all strategizing together. And I think that gave Sandra an important piece of information.
And Kate, when Sandra was like, so what are you guys talking about? And then they're like, oh, who do you think it is? And Kate totally changed her tune and was like, oh, I don't know. It was kind of funny to see Kate gets like stopped in her tracks a little bit because she was like going guns blazing and I'm like, Sandra's this, and then she couldn't even say it to Sandra's face, where you've seen other people like CT before has told Peter to his face, like, I'm voting for you, like, you're the person that I'm most suspicious of right now. And so to see Kate kind of like be thrown off, because also Kate is such a vocal person normally to the group from when she first got into the game late, and to see her now be like, oh crap, I have to say face. Like,
and I was wondering, like, could MJ or CT tell Sandra, like, hey, we're talking about you? But they kind of played along with it. And I think that shows Sandra's social power. I think that she is not someone to be underestimated in this game. She's made a lot of strides connecting with, like, all different kinds of people. And I think she garners a lot of respect.
And I think it also shows, too, that, like, if CT's 100% about someone, he's going to say it to their face. And the fact that he didn't, it just kind of tells you where his head is at in this moment.
But I need you also to help me help you. Honestly, like looking at you in your eyes. Are you a traitor?
Moments like this, especially this conversation between the two of them, it really shows just like how well Phaedra was playing the game. Obviously, her relationship with Sheree goes back like 30 years, but everyone was really just having a hard time coming to the fact that she could be a traitor. It was so hard for people to turn against her. And it wasn't that hard for people to turn against Dan or Parvati, right? Because they didn't have such a strong connection with them. And so this conversation kind of broke my heart. To be honest, I feel like the whole entire game, Sheree has had a little bit of blind faith to Phaedra because she's like, my friend would never lie to me. But then the facts are put to her and she's like, oh my God, I have to question it. And I think it's important for like Sheree to think, okay, this is a game, it's not real life. Like, Phaedra's lying to me because she has to stay in the game. Like, she doesn't have another choice because she doesn't want to go home. Obviously, she wants the money, honey. And so it's really like separating fact from fiction in a way. But it was a really hard conversation to watch. I mean, Sheree basically point blank asked Phaedra, like, are you a traitor? And Phaedra has to lie to her face.
I think this goes to show that, you know, she is playing the game, that she understands that Phaedra would have to lie to her and is honestly able to see through it.
I'm very exhausted. And it just gets to a point where, you know, you just really get tired of fighting.
You can tell that Phaedra doesn't have any fight left in her. She has had to be really resilient through this game and has like successfully defended herself through a lot of suspicion and attacks from the other players. But it's continued to follow her, and there's really nowhere left for her to turn. Part of me wishes that she did have a little bit fight left and that she threw some suspicion on CT or just anyone else, came up with something out of the top of her head. But, you know, I think that she was done and, you know, was proud of the game that she did play. You see that as everyone except for her votes for her to leave the game.
I'm voting for Phaedra. I think you came on here to be the opposite of who you are in real life.
They were quite nice about it. I loved how CT said, this is not who you are outside of the game. You had to be a completely different person inside of this game. And Trishelle said, like, you can leave this game with your head high. So I think that there's a lot of respect for her.
Yeah, I think she definitely, out of all the traitors, had the best exit. And I think, too, like, she didn't even throw, like, Kate under the bus, but she could have, right? Like, Dan threw another traitor under the bus. She was like, I'm all about girl power, like, CT, sorry. Like, that was such a nice way to, like, target CT, too, you know, in a way. And so I really have to commend her. I think she really, I'm not gonna lie, at first I was like, Phaedra, speak up to Dan and Parvati. Like, you're just kind of in the back. Like, they're calling all the shots. But like, now watching her whole tenure in the game play out, I'm like, no, she definitely played such a good game. She obviously knew what she was doing. Like, she really built relationships with these people, and that's what got her to the end.
But, you know, the twist of it all was Kate.
In this game, you're more selfish than skillful, and it's just not fun to play games with people who play that way.
Selfish?
I was shook to my core.
My mind was blown. Like, obviously we know Kate to be very outspoken, and I can understand how Kate was probably frustrated that Phaedra was not fighting harder for herself. I imagine Kate thought, why am I putting Sandra's name out here and risking my neck when you're not doing the same? But like, Kate knows that Phaedra is being voted out. Why risk your own game to get like a sassy comment out?
100%. And also too, I think Kate was kind of like left this cash money for her to grab, because Kate was a very last addition. She's the newest traitor. No one is on her scent except maybe like MJ. Like, no one is really on her scent. And so literally all you have to do is just keep your mouth shut, keep being nice to these people, and then cash the money. And like, the fact that she was like kind of being petty at the end and was saying Phaedra was selfish, which I don't agree with.
I think that Sandra is right on the money when she correctly clocks this as a tell from Kate.
Kate attacking Phaedra made me uncomfortable, rang alarm bells for me. It just doesn't add up.
So wait, what are your predictions? Do you think that Sandra's going to be able to convince everyone that Kate is a traitor because of that, and that the Faithfuls are going to win?
I think yes. I think if anyone could turn this around and get people to follow and listen to them, it's Sandra. Trishelle's been trying to this whole season and it hasn't really worked. CT, like, people love CT, but I don't know if he can get the whole people to like listen or follow him as much as they can to Sandra. So I think she'll be able to get everyone to say like, yeah, it's Kate.
This is shaping up to be a battle between Kate and a battle between Sandra, and who's going to have the sway here? Kate already set her eyes on Sandra, and Sandra now has her eyes on Kate, and it's who can sway, who can have that say. And it could go any direction, so I'm so excited to find out which way it goes.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to talk to you guys about it next time. Bye.